Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, as you can see from these differently colored numbers here, we read the paradoxical insurance policy, the impossible colors, the click anywhere computer, the jaded ring, and my face that I may be. So, I thought that the paradoxical insurance policy was going to be some actually messed up insurance papers, and that's not what it was. I don't know what I thought the impossible colors were going to be, but they're not that bad. The click anywhere computer is wacky. The jaded ring can probably neutralize a few SCPs, and my face that I may be was just... whew. Anyway, this episode we're going to be doing the train, the ambassador, eyeball, lightbringer, and astronomically inclined crane. So, let's check out the train, and then we'll make our way to the crane. Well, it's Euclid, so we finally got out of the safety box, or safety dance. Containment area is to be coated in lead shielding both inside and out. Should any section of the shielding become damaged, replacement plates are to be installed immediately. Chains and plates used to secure 716 are to have lead shielding as well, and are to be replaced as soon as wear or corrosion is observed. SCP-716 is to remain pointing at an external wall at all times. Should it break containment and forcibly exit the containment area, recovery teams are to monitor 716 and attempt recovery only when it comes to rest. Recovery while still in motion may only be attempted with approval from O5 Command. The hole on it kind of looks like it's supposed to be one of the faces from Thomas the Tank Engine trains. Anyway, areas with long-term exposure are to be sterilized after 716 removal. Any biological organisms affected by it are to be terminated unless required for testing. No humans are to enter REM sleep within 200 meters of it if uncontained, 100 meters if contained. Anything exiting data expunged. No entry of 716 is permitted at any time. Entry for testing purposes must be approved by Site Command. Description: SCP-716 is a large locomotive and a variable number of cars between 8 and 20 on average. Both the locomotive and cars appear to be in an advanced state of neglect. Yeah, they do. Physical damage dealt to 716 appears to slowly regenerate over time. However, it maintains an appearance of extreme neglect and rust. It can be physically moved with difficulty, however the locomotive appears to be unable to function normally and appears to be missing many critical parts. 716 exhibits a select form of inconsistent topography. While appearing to have a set number of rail cars from outside observation, the train exhibits an apparently unlimited amount of cars when entered. Almost all of these cars are enclosed and appear to be of random types: passenger, tanker, animal transport, mail, etc. Many of them exhibit other anomalous properties, such data expunged, not even such as, we don't even get the word as, just gone. Alright. Some notable and recurring cars are a horse transport cart with horse corpses hanging from ropes made of sheep tendon, a tanker car filled with a mixture of crude oil and human bile, a large transport car filled with stacks of keys made of many different materials, data expunged. I really feel like this train was probably made by the factory, or transports things for the factory. Let's find out. 716 is also capable of two forms of transport/movement. To begin with, it can travel and move in a manner consistent with a locomotive of similar dimensions despite the lack of vital parts, any form of fuel, or conductor. It is capable of reaching speeds in excess of... that looks like a speed trains aren't supposed to be able to do, and can do so in a very short period of time. 0 to 700 in, 6 seconds. While it appears to prefer traveling on current or former rail tracks, it is capable of overland movement as well in a manner similar to SCP-1489, which we will get to someday. Observation of 716 engaging in this movement in an urban area shows that activities that would damage/disable a normal locomotive, such as penetrating a 3-meter thick brick wall, do not impair 716 in any perceivable way. So it just flies around through buildings and shit. Cool. The second transportation/movement form exhibited by 716 has only been observed with human subjects on board. The probability of triggering this mode appears to be largely random, but is more common in cases of groups of 5 or more subjects. So just report that 716 will suddenly shift and begin to move rapidly, accelerating to the top speed. Outside observation will show that regardless of subject reports and received data, it remains completely still. Once 716 begins this form of transportation/movement, subjects become unrecoverable. It also exhibits properties of data expunged 1. Subjects exiting 716 during the second form of transportation/movement, data expunged 2. Addendum: data recovery 1, level 2 clearance required. We have that clearance, don't we, guys? Consistent with a form of unknown radiation. This effect appears to emanate from 716 and appears to expand the longer 716 remains stationary in a location. Effects include expanded list and definitions with cited examples available from central records by request. Alterations in the size, shape, behavior of local flora and fauna. Mass suicides and die-offs of local flora and fauna. Alteration in weather patterns and severity. Genetic damage, behavior alteration, and physical deformity in humans. Hallucinations, auditory, tactile, olfactory, and visual. Is that touch hallucinations? Is that a thing? I did not know that there were touch hallucinations. I wonder how that works. I mean, I guess phantom limb syndrome would be a tactile hallucination. Anyway, also I've noticed the behavior exhibited by individuals entering REM sleep, or REM sleep, within this area of effect. Subjects after entering REM sleep will begin to sleepwalk in the direction of the train, even in individuals with no history of nocturnal disturbance. Have they tested this on people who can't walk? Subjects allowed to enter 716 will enter the fetal position on the floor of one of the train cars and continue sleeping normally. Groups of people entering in this way have been shown to be capable of triggering the second form of transportation/movement exhibited by 716. Data recovery number 2, level 4 clearance required. Report seeing a vast empty plain of hard-packed earth. This plain appears almost totally featureless and without any sort of border. The only feature of any kind is an endless string of train cars going from one horizon to the other. This is assumed to be 716. Tests have shown the environment to be totally sterile, I don't know why I said it like that, and lacking in any source of water. The plane appears to go through a 72-hour day-night cycle with what is reported as a 2 large sun and no moon. Subjects are still able to send and receive radio and other transmissions, but they experience a progressive breakdown in clarity, with communication rendered impossible after approximately 1 month. This same property is exhibited by communication devices within 716 itself. Exploration and testing have raised data expunged, released by O5 order only. Sometimes I wonder if the data expunged is just because the person who wrote the article just didn't feel like coming up with something else, so they just, you know what, that's fine, I'll just expunge the rest of it. What are they going to do, assume I didn't finish? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Anyway, now let's check out the ambassador. That's another Euclid. SCP-717 is encased within Site Blank, publicly known as the Blank Observatory. Observatory Dome must remain closed from 10:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. or when 717 is active. A minimum of 12 armed guards are to be stationed outside of Site Blank during all hours. Flamethrowers and flashbang grenades are to be secured in the guardhouse in case of emergency. Internal temperature of Site Blank is not to exceed 10 degrees Celsius. Only one of Site Blank's internal spotlights can be on at any time. Sorry. But should be dimmed if 717 is active. No more than 3 persons may enter at any time, and no more than 2 of these may be on-site security. Visiting staff are advised to wear warm, darkly colored clothing and light amplification visors while within Site Blank. Staff are permitted to bring flashlights or flares, but may not use them outside of an emergency. No radios or cell phones permitted. If 717's containment becomes compromised for any reason, all floodlights within Site Blank are to be activated and sirens are to sound within the facility. All personnel are to evacuate the site and equip flamethrowers until receiving further instructions. See description for procedures relating to 717's individual components. Alright. 717 is the ruins of a 2-story Victorian-style home hidden within Site Blank, specifically the remains of the guest bedroom on the upper story. Although the walls of the hallway leading to 717 have burnt through, the doorway to the room is to remain closed at all times. Staff are required to knock gently upon the door once for each member of staff present before entering, even for routine maintenance. All other doors within the house have been removed. 717-1 is a white cloth mannequin and is to be kept within this room at all times, preferably seated before its table. Staff are to note its position and markings once per day. Any changes or signs of movement are to be reported immediately. A lamp, a set of writing implements, large block letters, and a modified Ouija board must be kept on the table before 1. I don't like where this is going. No other items are to be placed on this table. If one shows signs of movement, one staff member is to sit at the table and remain in the room with it. The staff member present must turn on the lamp and point at the word "wait" on the modified Ouija board, then immediately shut the lamp off. Staff is advised to remain quiet and breathe steadily until relieved. 2 is sealed behind a titanium alloy vault door lined with a plating of redacted alloy. It is mounted on the wall behind 1. The vault is to remain sealed per mutual agreement. If any whistling is heard from the vault, maintenance must be performed immediately to prevent a breach. If the vault is breached from the far side, it is to be considered a hostile act. Communication with 717 is to immediately cease, and staff are to equip weapons to repel invaders. Addendum. Unauthorized staff are not permitted to communicate with one beyond requesting its patience while authorized personnel arrive. This can possibly take days, and one should understand this. Prolonged exposure to one can produce feelings of unease and discomfort. This is attributed to its jerky, twitching movements as well as the mannequin's limp neck and unnatural chill. Chill like cold, or chill like it's just a really cool guy? Although direct exposure to the entity within one has been shown to cause data expunged, therefore it can safely be assumed that 717 is even less enthusiastic about contact than we are. If authorized personnel do not arrive within 24 hours, staff on site may leave the room after tapping the word "wait" 3 times in succession. A member of staff has to return once every 24 hours to ask one to wait again until authorized personnel arrive. Personnel with beta clearance or higher should also see document 17-1. Is that what this is, or is this something else? This is an incident log. Testimony of survivor Meh. Age 17, January 31st. Okay. 1962. Miss H. Oh, Ms. H. We came to this house because we heard all the old rumors about it. About the old cult that used to worship in its basement, and we wanted to see if we could use our Ouija board to contact the spirits here. At first, all we found was construction stuff, and the whole place smelled of paint. We looked around in the basement, and a lot of the furniture had been moved down here and covered with sheets, and I remember seeing it there now that I think about it. Seeing what? The dummy. It was hanging on a hook, leaning against the wardrobe. We all laughed at it, thought it was a ghost at first. Then we went upstairs and lit some candles and got out the board. Then what happened? Right away, it got really, really cold. We started asking questions, and every answer we got was "get out," and then Blank grabbed the pointer and just kept spelling "stop" over and over again. Blank said her hands were numb and she couldn't move them on her own. The candles were flickering, but there were shadows on the board that weren't moving. Then there was this loud banging in the basement. I got up to run, but I tripped. It takes several minutes to compose herself before continuing. I think that's when the candles got knocked over. All the fresh paint and fumes. The fire was an accident. I just need you to focus on the incident. There was something dark staining the wallpaper and it started peeling all over the room. I think there was this writing under the paper. Some of it was already there. This wind came from nowhere, like everything was being sucked towards the dark spot in the wall, but it just made the flames get bigger. The flames were between me and the others. That's why when it came to the wall, Blank just broke like a statue, like she was frozen. It was like waves of black curtains blowing out of the wall, and there was this wailing. There were hands and faces and other things grabbing at the others, smothering them, but they couldn't get through the flames to me. I ran downstairs and the basement door was slamming open and shut. I had to pass it to get to the front door, and that thing, the dummy, it skidded up the stairs like a bug, and its hands were covered with blood. It was climbing the walls and it tore at the wallpaper, smearing that blood all over. It wouldn't let me leave. It never touched me, but it would get in my way, make me look at it. Was it writing on the walls? It wrote, "Stop, stop, stop," all over the walls and doors. The fire was moving closer, so I shoved at it. It started burning, and then it was bleeding. Blood was gushing from its stomach and face while it tried to crawl out of the fire. Some of its blood got on me as I ran out the door. I could see the fire trucks coming, but when they came, the firemen ran right past me. They didn't see me where I fell in the bushes, and they never came back out. I didn't feel it at the time, but that thing's blood, it made my legs numb. They're broken too, aren't they? They broke apart like Blank did. Please tell me. The doctors won't let me look. Ms. H was treated with Class A amnestic, and the remains of her legs were amputated. Tissue damage was consistent with the frozen remains covered from the ashes. The mannequin showed no unusual properties after being removed from the site of 717. The stains on its hands were from black paint found in the basement, not blood. No unexpected substance was found in its material. Contact was established with the 717 entity or entities after a second mannequin animated in the basement. Containment procedures were agreed upon, and 717 was dormant for the next 30 years until it became active to negotiate the cessation of certain activities. Under no circumstances are any containment staff to enter into negotiations with 717. So is 717 the mannequin, or is it the thing in the walls? And what is the thing in the walls? We'll probably never know. Let's check out the eyeball, which is Keter for some reason. And it says no long-term observation is to be made of it, but the picture is right there, so it better not be a GIF. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go to a different window while I drink some water to prepare for the serious Keter voice, just in case it's a GIF. Because I'm not really in the mood for another freaky eye GIF like that one time. Not after, nah. You better not be a GIF. As a matter of fact, let's find out if you're a GIF. Okay, it's a JPEG. It's a JPEG. All right, cool. A JPEG. No long-term observation is to be made of SCP-718. Any and all observations and interaction is to be restricted to 5 and 10 minute periods, with personnel rotations every 24 hours. Extreme care must be taken with 718, and full hazmat suits are mandatory for all personnel. Any damage done to 718 must be reported as soon as possible. Any personnel observing or interacting with 718 for longer than the advised period must be removed, with force if necessary. Any personnel acting in an erratic or violent manner will be transferred. Description: SCP-718 is an eye, roughly the size of a baseball. It is supported by a long, thin stalk made of tendon and blood vessels. It stands 4 feet tall and appears to need no nourishment nor excrete any waste. The eye will turn and follow any living thing in its field of vision. The stalk is capable of limited movement and will follow living things for a short distance. 718 will also stare at any observational equipment in its containment area if no living things are present. 718 appears to prefer staring at humans more than other animals. Its stare can induce discomfort and paranoia in a very short time, often resulting in a subject's attempt to destroy it. The eye, if damaged, will explode, showering clear fluid on all nearby surfaces before shriveling into powder. Anything the fluid touches will develop a clear blister-like bubble that slowly turns black. After 24 hours, the blister will burst, and a 20.32 cm 8-inch copy of 718 will emerge, growing to full size over the course of a few days. This has been shown to occur on all organic surfaces and many inorganic. On living subjects, copies of 718 are permanently affixed. Attempts to surgically remove 718 can cause extreme pain in the subject, though removal is possible. Aside from a vague and persistent desire to destroy other copies of 718, the host suffers from no ill effects after removal. If 718 is not removed from a living subject, testing indicates that the subject becomes able to see through 718. Vision with 718 is different, as data expunged is now visible, at the expense of more conventional sight. This has an extremely detrimental effect on subjects, drastically lowering mental stability and often leading to suicide. The death of a host will cause 718 to burst. 86 instances of 718 are currently contained within the containment chamber. And it appears that they would be able to view one of the instances of SCP-1. Okay. That brings us to the Lightbringer, which is safe, and a TV, apparently. 719 is to be kept in a secure lead-lined storage unit at Site-15 when not in use. It is to be tested for residual radioactivity on a bi-monthly basis. I believe that means twice a month. If residual radiation levels exceed 10 Svh when 718 is in an unpowered state, one is to be removed from 719 and installed into another compatible unit of similar manufacture. A minimum of 2 operational standby units shall be kept on site at all times. Once operation of the new unit is confirmed, the new unit will be designated 719 and the old unit disposed of according to site protocols for radioactive waste. Any experimentation or testing of 719 must take place at a radiation-shielded examination room. Foundation personnel are not to have direct contact with 719 while it is powered on, and any power must be provided by circuits with a remotely monitored emergency shutoff. All tests shall be recorded and video archived in the Site-15 secure data center. Under no circumstances shall 719 be permitted to remain powered on for longer than 75 minutes. All test signals are to be transmitted to 719 via a standard digital converter box switched to channel 3. Update the containment procedures. From this point forward, stop testing this thing on disposable dudes. We've wasted a dozen so far, and the only anomalous effect on them has been radiation poisoning. Dr. Blank, Assistant Director, Site 15. Description: SCP-719 is a General Electric Portacolor television, model YHE5223 RUA, manufactured in 1975. The fixed internal electronics have not been altered from the original design, but all vacuum tubes have been replaced by 8 devices of unknown manufacturer, collectively designated 719-1. Each device appears to be an opaque black cylindrical crystal, fit into a socket conforming to those of standard vacuum tubes. These devices appear non-functional when placed in a standard tube tester, or individually fitted in another electronic device. The only configuration found that appears operational is when all 8 devices are fitted into the chassis of a General Electric television with a specific electronic configuration of 719. When one is in place, and 719 is supplied power and turned on, one will radiate electromagnetic radiation of various spectra including visible light, ultraviolet, microwaves, gamma radiation, and a substantial band in redacted. About 60% of emissions are ionizing radiation. Upon powering on, or after changing a broadcast source, 719 will behave as a normal television set, displaying the broadcast signal it is receiving. However, if it is allowed to display any single broadcast source for longer than 13.6 minutes, video and audio will start to diverge from the signal being received. Accompanying this change in the display broadcast is a rise in the amount of radiation emitted from one. Should 719 remain powered on, receiving the same uninterrupted broadcast signal, both the divergence in display content and radiation emission will steadily increase. The intensity of EM emissions appear to bear no relation to power drawn by 719, and double in strength for each 15 minutes of continuous operation. Radiation from one will drop off completely once power to 719 is cut, it is turned off, or if the broadcast signal being received is interrupted or changed. Tests have shown no difference in 719's anomalous properties when changing what channel broadcast signals are received, or when changing the origin of these signals. Tests have involved recorded and live over-the-air broadcasts as well as signals from various recorded media. So far, any attempts to intercept the altered broadcast signal in order to record it directly have been unsuccessful, and altered broadcasts must be recorded by an external video camera. 719's alterations to broadcast signals appear to be unique to each episode. When using a control signal source of a DVD playing the same movie repeatedly, changes made upon each playback will be different. However, while each use of 719 will show unique changes, those changes will share similar broad characteristics including the following. External scenes will gradually become brighter, night becomes day, clouds vanish, and the sun, when visible, will grow progressively larger and wider. I guess they crossed out when visible because it just will happen. Internal scenes will show signs of a rise in temperature, and later stages materials will melt, discolor, or spontaneously burst into flame. Characters will become flushed, perspire, and as the broadcast progresses, show signs of second and third degree burns. Often, secondary characters will seek out and genuflect to a central focus character who will engage in a unique monologue of varying lucidity. The actors and roles may change upon repeat of the same input signal. Addendum: partial transcript of a 719 broadcast. Source is a local broadcast of rerun of situation comedy blankety blank blank blank. I feel like that's the Big Bang Theory. Season 4, Episode 17. The scene portrays one of the primary characters, blank blank, invited 3 supporting characters to a party/raffle at his apartment. After one character begins an anecdote about his sexual conquest, scene deviates from the broadcast signal and the secondary characters begin characteristic genuflection towards blank blank. The following is a partial transcript of the subsequent monologue by blank blank. Your only hope of future illusion primates bow to illumination. Meat chains your inevitable cognition thoughts into the propaganda of distillate existence. Eyes blind to the purity of fire and annihilation. Even this abstraction of the vile distillate you call matter is abhorrent to the tongue of your enlightenment. You taste the blood of your own soul as souls and gag on the filth, tasting the carrion corpse of dead solidity and believing you have kissed the face of God. Clinging to unlife, thinking unthoughts, you are unmade and unbelieving, unknowing, lost in your own abyss of existence. But even ignorance is not immortal. You will know and you will see. Freedom from the antithesis of Zombie City. Freedom from the unknowing of unexistence. You will know the light and pray for darkness. So I just imagine Sheldon saying that, because if it is in fact the Big Bang Theory, which it probably is, then I feel like that's probably Sheldon that said that. So, recovery notes. 719 and 719-1 were recovered from the site of an apparent murder-suicide at a ranch outside Blank, Arizona. The ranch had been purchased by a cult calling itself the Guardians of the Light, who reportedly had at least 35 members resident at the compound. Little is currently known about the beliefs of this group. Evidence suggests various Christian, Gnostic, and New Age influences. The few writings recovered refer to a deity known as the Lightbringer, the Morning Star, and He Who Made Light. On blank 19-something, agents of the ATF raided the compound based on rumors of a weapons cache. The raid found the bodies of approximately 20 members of the cult and a barn that had been converted into a church. 19 cult members had been shot execution-style while facing the altar. The corpse of the 20th member, apparently the gunman, was found at the altar with third-degree burns over 95% of his body. 719 was on the altar, rear case removed, and one instance of one clutched in the corpse's hand. The scene was quarantined and news of the incident suppressed by U.S. intelligence agencies when all bodies were found to show advanced cases of radiation poisoning. The Foundation was called in when U.S. authorities discovered the only radiation source was the case of 719, whose residual radioactivity could not account for the damage to the victims. The gunman had a note on his person which had almost completely burned. Forensic analysis of the remains have recovered the following texts. Cannot understand at what they believe. Up them before they go and this I failed. You have to destroy the... It's not a window, it's a door. So, I'm going to see what season 4, episode 17 of The Big Bang Theory was about. The Big Bang Theory, season 4, episode 17. I don't want to watch it. I just want to find some sort of... Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. Invites around several friends to have dinner at his apartment and sends a tweet to LeVar Burton asking him to come. They introduce themselves. The parent does not particularly like the guests. They miss Sheldon and his eccentric habits. It tells dating stories and they sing karaoke. Yeah, I feel like this is probably that. Party raffle at apartment. Anecdote about sexual conquesting deviates. Primary character, blah blah, invites supporting characters. And the primary character's name would be... Sheldon. I don't know what Sheldon's last name is, so I don't know, like... let's see, here's... Yeah, I don't know what Sheldon's last name is, but it was probably Sheldon. Anyway, that brings us to Astronomically Inclined Crane. Which is safe. And it kind of looks angry. The picture says it's in an inert state with several tanks removed for study. SCP-720 is to be kept in a standard safe chamber located within Site-77's safe SCP wing. It is to have its 3 fuel tanks removed when not in testing, and is to be checked every 3 weeks for sign of wear. Should 720 require any maintenance work, all 8 reservoirs are to be removed before maintenance is performed. Description: 720 is a mechanical device superficially resembling a mobile claw-mounted crane, fit with a plow mounted on the front, as well as a nozzle in the center of the claw. The nozzle is hooked up to one 5-liter tank of industrial-grade adhesive and 4 5-liter tanks of red, blue, green, and yellow paint. When inert, it weighs approximately 1 metric ton. 720 is capable of moving it at a speed of up to 3 kilometers per hour and appears to be powered by a small diesel engine fueled by 23-liter fuel tanks, or 3 20-liter fuel tanks. When introduced to fuel, and if enough workable material is nearby, it will activate and remain active until it exhausts fuel as workable material or both. When active, it will use all available tools to form spheres out of material in its environment, rolling and forming objects using both its plow and crane arm, and using its adhesive to bond material together. Once a varying amount of material-sized spheres have been made, or different-sized spheres have been made, 720 will arrange them in a straight line, eventually making what appears to be a model of a planetary system. Upon completion of the system, 720 will proceed to paint each planetary object, beginning with a single shade base overcoat and continuing through multiple layers, showing detailed surface and atmospheric features. In the event that other colors are needed, 720 will combine paints in order to achieve the necessary color. Other objects, such as planetary satellites and asteroid belts, are typically left unpainted and unaligned with the rest of the model. The majority of the planetary system models created by 720 do not match other systems currently known to exist. However, at least 4 systems match up: Sol, Kepler-11, Gliese 876, and Mu Arae. Several of the models seem to attempt to model other known systems, but include disparities such as an incorrect number of planets, the presence of circumstellar disks, or asteroid belts. These models are to be photographed and kept on record in the event that further information discovered on known systems reveal them to be similar. SCP-1683. Addendum A. On June 9, 2009, or September 6, 2009, SCP-720 created a model with several anomalies inconsistent with other models it has created. A 90cm ring was placed around the model's sun, with 2 11cm thick blue lines painted along the both edges of the ring. A planet estimated to be in the circumstellar habitable zone and possessing apparent oceans also had a long, unpainted pole running from an assumed landmass to one of the planet's satellites. Additionally, 27 small cubical objects were placed in orbit of 3 of the planets, similar to planetary satellites in other models. Further research into the content of this model is underway. Co-authored. Well, that was whimsical compared to the other things. So, that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki, and the next one we'll be doing Dr. Wondertainment's Wondercans! Jormungandr, Aging Staircase, Procyon Centaur, and Parrot Whale. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This is episode 153 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.